And welcome into this edition of Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, the Northeast Florida's leading orthopedic center, providing an unparalleled level of care across numerous locations in both Jacksonville and St. Augustine. That includes Riverside, Northside, the South Side, the beaches, Fleming Island, and St. John's. He is Denny Thompson. I'm the hacker, Ryan Green, 1 week removed from signing day, although at the time of this recording, Wednesday morning the 9th, I think Florida has a chance to get one more later on today. A young man from the state of California who did not verbally commit or sign last week is choosing between Florida and Oregon. But most of the signing day stuff, the hay is in the barn. Leads me to this, Denny, because I want to get into the quarterback room, a little bit of Super Bowl talk, your favorite thing, Gator basketball.
Love it.
By the way, on a 3-game winning streak, Gator basketball, so that's at least some good news. A lot of talk coming out of signing day last week. Now that Cristobal, Napier, I guess throw Norvell in as well, although he's a little bit more established. Now that this will be their first recruiting cycle, will we start to see an obvious difference with kids in the state staying home, not going elsewhere? Because again, this year, a lot of Sunshine State players left the state to go play college football.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this a couple of times, like in different ways. But recruiting's so national now, at least regional. I think if you can start to keep a percentage of those guys, you're never going to keep all of them from going to Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, the schools that not just are winning football games, but are putting a ton of people in the NFL and having, a ton of success. One of the first things you see when you walk into these schools is the number of money that their active NFL players are making now, like as a cumulative figure.
Right.
And so it's going to be hard to compete with that, at least for a little while. put Georgia in that as well. But if you can start to solidify some of the areas in Florida and you can keep start with between the three, start with 20%. Like, can you keep, if the average is, and I don't know what it is, but if the average is 50 kids, 4-star, 5-star, go to those other schools I just named, can you keep 10 to start, right? Can we make it 40? And then can we make it 30 and so on? But then you also got to get into Atlanta and you got to do some damage up there, because if you look up in Atlanta right now, those same schools that I just named, they're also getting the 4 and 5 stars from there, right? So you got to get Atlanta, you got to get into Alabama. Occasionally, Mississippi will hit gold every 4 or 5 years. They'll have like 4 or 5 really good players come out of high school. So can you be in play for those guys? Stuff like that. So I think it's a two-part approach. I think it's, you solidify here and you make kids want to come to the universities in their own state, but then you also flex in these other areas, South Georgia, North Georgia, all those areas. And even if you want to go up into the Northeast or the West Coast, I think that's the bigger question, is can you start to equal that percentage? Like if Georgia went out and they got 3 guys from California, Arizona, Nevada, can you do that next time? Can you get 2 of those?
Yeah.
That they wanted? I think all of that is what kind of comes into play.
Well, it's like I'm looking at the 24/7 composite, the top 10 guys from this past cycle. Shamar Stewart, Opelika, Texas A&M. Gabriel Brownlow-Dendy from Lakeland, Texas A&M. Jahad Campbell from Bradenton, that's IMG. He goes to Alabama. Marvin Jones, Fort Lauderdale, goes to Georgia. Jaheim Singletary, right here in Jacksonville, goes to Georgia. Dalen Everett, Bradenton, goes to Georgia. Kamari Wilson's the first one. Number 7 ranked in the state, according to 24/7, to Florida. Sam McCall, number 8, out of Lakeland to Florida State. And then finally, Bear Alexander out of IMG to Georgia, and Tyler Booker, IMG, to Alabama. If you keep scrolling, Miami's first guy in the state was number 13. And then the in-state schools start picking up. But only 2 of the top 12 in the 24/7 composite for the 2022 rankings come from the state of Florida that remain in the state of Florida. And really quick, just a quick look at 2023, because I'm curious. I don't think a lot of guys have committed for the 2023 cycle yet. But if you look right here, no one's committed in the top 10 except for Keon Keeley from Tampa. He's currently ranked number 8 in the 2023 cycle, committed to Notre Dame.
Yeah. And I would be curious if you took that out of the state of Florida and went national, if it's not those same schools that don't pop up. And I think that's what I'm saying. Is I think if you didn't just search Florida, if you just said who are the top 10 players in the country, it's probably Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, even if they're not from here, Ohio State, Clemson, although Clemson's not as much. It's probably those same guys.
Who is it more important for, Miami or Florida? Cristobal or Napier to keep guys in state?
Well, I think the easy answer is Miami because they're, South Florida. So geographically, they have more guys close to them. And so it hurts a little bit more when you have a Dade County guy go to Athens, right? So I think it probably, from the optic standpoint, is probably Miami. And I think also, if you went back and you looked, this is something we probably need to do. And maybe I'll do this at some point. Go back to not when Miami was in its heyday, because that was a long time ago. But go back to the most recent Florida national championship teams and go back to, 2013 Florida State teams.
Yeah.
Let's look at how those teams were made up comparatively. Were they made up of 80% Florida guys, or did they get the 4 and 5 stars in Florida but also go reach California? Because, like, Jameis is Alabama.
Off the top of my head, 08 Florida. Spikes was North Carolina. Dunlap wasn't a Florida guy. Hernandez,
Percy
was a New England guy. Percy was not a Florida
Virginia,
guy.
Yep.
You had the Lakeland guys.
Right. You see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the part that, and I've mentioned this a couple times. Now you look at the national championship game; those guys, it wasn't guys from the East Coast even. It was guys from the West Coast that played a prominent role in that. And so I just think that's the way recruiting's going. But to answer your question directly, you have to do better in Florida. I don't think you have to lock the state up like you used to, but you have to have a hat on the table, and you have to win 15% of those.
Yeah.
Right? And then you need to go win that same percentage in California, Nevada. Atlanta's probably need to be a little bit more than that.
And again, we're recording this on Wednesday the 9th. Come to find out on Friday, 2 days from now, the 11th, Billy Napier holding another press conference. The guy in 2 months has held more press conferences than I think Dan Mullen might have held in 2 years.
It's smart. He's just putting his face out there, right? I would anticipate, because now you're going to have spring ball in March, so I would anticipate a press conference every 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Even during the dead time.
And it's good. It keeps the fans engaged.
It keeps the fans engaged. It puts your face out there. Now you are the face of Florida football. Well, if nobody knows what you look like, then they don't know how to. And we talk about, people that listen to this podcast, people that talk about recruiting, you all know what Billy Napier looks like, but you're the minority because you're keeping up with this year round. The average fan that watches 12 Saturdays in the fall may not know who Billy Napier is, right? They don't live this stuff. So I think the more opportunity he's got a chance to put himself in front of just Gator alum and Gator faithful, the better for him.
Now that signing day has come and gone, spring football on the horizon, we spoke on this briefly last week. Would you anticipate any movement at all in the transfer portal before spring, or do you think it's all going to be after spring ball?
I think very little before spring. I'm starting to hear kind of sprinkled guys. I get a couple texts every now and then of, I think I'm going to go ahead and hit and finish the semester, where I'm at. But because now they basically be enrolling for the summer, right? But I think the bulk of it will come after the spring. I think you'll have another burst, kind of like what we saw in December, a good 2-week burst sometime in late March, early April, of guys trying to get to that next school before the summer term starts.
And the reason I bring that up, we're roughly 2 months from the orange and blue game, about a month until spring practice gets underway. And if you look at the Gator quarterback room, as we talked about a little bit last week, there are going to be 6 guys currently in that room once Max Brown, the true freshman, arrives on campus. Anthony Richardson, Emory Jones, Jack Miller, Carlos Del Rio, Jalen Kitna. So really quick, even if it's a sentence or two, you're the quarterback guy. Let's go one by one. Max Brown probably won't arrive until the summer, so we'll exclude him because I don't believe he's going to participate in spring ball. A quick thought from you, people you've talked to, or just your opinion. Jalen Kitna, I mean, what do you anticipate for him in the spring?
I think he stays. I think he ends up being the number 3.
Really?
Yeah, so I think he stays.
So out of 5 quarterbacks, if you believe he's going to be the number 3, let me do my Wolfson High School math here.
Right.
Are you saying 2 are going to be gone
Yeah,
post spring?
two will leave after spring.
Okay, well that leads us to Carlos Del Rio.
Yeah, I think it'll be gone.
Why?
Yeah, I think
As much as you can share.
I don't have any reason other than just kind of what I've been told in the past. I work with Carlos. I like Carlos.
Who's the better prospect between Del Rio and Kitna?
God, they're so different, man. It's Carlos is the better prospect from a higher ceiling standpoint. But he's probably a little hit or miss right now. Like he's also got the lower floor, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So a little riskier.
Yeah.
Right.
Bigger upside, but Kitna's the more steady guy.
Right. So I think Carlos was a big enough recruit that when he looks at this, he's going to go, and this is probably the main reason why I'm saying him over Jalen to leave. When he looks at this, he can go, okay, I'm number 3 on the depth chart at best. There's somewhere I can get on the field, right? He's going into his 3rd year.
Yeah.
So I think for him, he looks at it and goes, okay, if I enter the portal, I may not end up at, Georgia, but I may end up at South Carolina. And that's bad because they just got Spencer, but you know what I mean?
Right.
Something along those lines.
Could end up at Virginia or Wake Forest.
Right. Yeah. So I think for him, he probably has more options in the portal than what a Jalen Kitna would have. So that's why I think he's leaving.
If Kitna, in your opinion, is going to be 3rd, and you think Del Rio potentially transfer, I'm assuming that means you think Jack Miller, the transfer from Ohio State, the former 4-star, you believe he'll be the backup going into the fall?
Oh, yeah. I think so.
So Emory then leaves after the spring.
Yeah. I think Emory was truthful. I think what Emory said was, I want to see this thing through spring with the new staff, and in the bigger part, I'm going to get my degree.
Yeah.
And he's been there, long enough to where that Florida logo means something on the degree, right? So for him, I think that was just a mature approach to this. I think he goes through spring, kind of sees what happens. But I'm also expecting a huge jump from Anthony Richardson. And I've been talking to him quite a bit lately. Like I think when we get through spring ball, I think at that point, everybody's just going to kind of settle in and go, okay, we're going to go as far as AR-15 takes us. Right. And I think as a staff, as a fan base, everything like that, I think he's ready for that next jump.
I mean, I'm going to ask you about Emory and Del Rio because of your comments, but this could be really any quarterback nationally. If you transfer in May and you arrive to your new home end of May, beginning of June, realistically, can you start a game in September?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and I think you could make the argument that may be where we see a lot of this go. Long term, because if I enter the portal in December, wherever I'm going, they still have time to take another portal guy in May. They are still recruiting. They can sign somebody in February. I really don't control my own destiny at that point. Like they're still doing their thing at the school. But if you go in May, you're the last person there.
Yeah.
You've got the full picture of what that room looks like when you walk in. And then as far as like a playbook and stuff like that, yeah, summer, plenty of time.
So if that is the way it falls, Anthony Richardson, Jack Miller, Jalen Kitna, Max Brown are your 4 quarterbacks in the fall. Are you happy with that? Are you concerned about that?
Because I'm thrilled.
To me, though, I look at it, Anthony Richardson's the only guy that's ever done anything on a college football field. He's one high ankle sprain away from Florida maybe having a significant problem.
Well, I think that's any team. I mean, in today's day and age, I just don't think with the transfer portal, you're going to have that guy that's got a lot of experience as a backup.
Yeah.
He's out. But
that was a luxury last year with Emory and Anthony.
I would also say it was. And I would also say if you go back and look at the last few Heisman, quarterbacks, I mean, Bryce Young didn't have any experience.
Yeah, that's true.
Mac Jones had 2 games. Now, he'd been in the system for a while. He didn't win the Heisman, but he was a finalist. You go back to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray won his first year as a starter, didn't he? Yeah.
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah. So, I think these guys, once they get there for a year or two, they've been in the system. They're used to it. Their bodies have changed. They're used to the speed. Ballers are going to ball. And that's the difference in college and the NFL. In college, you can be a baller and it shows right away. In the NFL, you better be a baller plus have 5 other attributes to even be noticed.
Your weekly reminder here on Gator Bytes, Denny Thompson, quarterback work with 6 points. Really blowing up from what I hear. You're doing a lot more things, not only locally, but regionally and nationally.
We're having fun.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. And you train Anthony Richardson.
Right.
I mean, you've trained Anthony Richardson for years. Dare I say, you know Anthony Richardson and his game better than probably almost anybody. As much as you can share. Health-wise, Anthony,
he's good.
He's doing well.
No, he's doing well. Yeah, and he's doing really well. He's in fact, I think we're going to be able to start full workouts soon.
Good.
And I say we, I mean what we do with him.
Yeah.
And we've been throwing very little. But he's good. He's feeling good. I think he's been in a great, space mentally. Took a lot out of last year, and he's ready to go. He's ready to go. I think this could be a massive year for Anthony, like a huge year for Anthony, and he understands that.
Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialists for any orthopedic injury or concern. You can log on to their website by going to se-ortho.com, and you can listen for Southeast Orthopedic Specialist, the good doctor, Kevin Murphy, on Thursday mornings in the 7 o'clock hour with Jeff and Dan right here on 1010XL for his weekly analysis of injuries in sports. Want to get into a couple other things. This just popped in my head, and this is, just frustrating. I want to see if you were frustrated by it.
Uh-oh.
Senior Bowl comments. Best players out there.
Yeah,
right?
I know where you're going.
Practice reports. Who are the best guys? Across the board, everybody says the best running back out in Mobile was Dameon Pierce. Again, for the life of me, why Florida did not use him more, I do not know. But were you as frustrated about that as I was when I heard that?
I wasn't in, yes, when I heard that. I wasn't during the season last year, but as much as I should have been. I think I can admit I was probably a little bit too pro Mullen during this whole time. Like, I don't know. Now looking back, you look at some things that he was doing or maybe not doing that you're like, what the hell? Like, why were you even here, right? In real time, I thought, okay, this guy's an offensive genius, and he is. And so he can X's and O's people to death. But, man, there's no excuse for that when you're coming off of a season. I understand if you'd have had Kyle Trask and Kyle Pitts, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
But when you're coming off of a season that inconsistency was an understatement in the passing game, like, why didn't you hand the ball to that guy at least 15 to 20 times a game?
What kind of pro will he be?
Man, I've given up on the running backs. I have no idea. I don't know how to evaluate a running back anymore. I mean, pass pro is such a huge part of the NFL game that I don't know where he's at on that. So, I mean, I think that when you see how high he gets drafted will tell you how good he is in pass pro.
Of course, he was out there. Zach Carter was out there. Zach Carter, to me, has all the makings of a decent NFL player.
Yeah, I mean, have you ever been? You've been senior ball.
Yeah, many times.
Yeah, many times. I mean, you look out there and all those guys are freaks.
Right.
If you just watched them one-on-one, you'd be like, oh my gosh, that guy's a superstar. Oh my gosh, that guy's a superstar. There's just such a small difference in what makes somebody, have a 3-year career in the NFL and have a 10-year career.
The interesting thing about the Senior Bowl, what people don't see is watch the practices on NFL Network, you watch the game, but in the hotel lobby, they're not even in meeting rooms. Yep. There's a hotel lobby, a couple of chairs. You'll see the Carolina Panthers want to talk to Dameon Pierce. Let's go sit in the lobby, have a lunch, and just talk to Dameon Pierce. It's like football
prom.
It really is.
Yeah, without
Speed
the
dating.
music. Yep.
Yeah, it's really, really something when you walk through that lobby. You just hear all the different conversations going on. That is the Senior Bowl. That leads us to the Super Bowl. Quick trivia question for you. I'm not expecting you to get this.
Great.
There are 5 former Florida Gators in the Super Bowl on Sunday. How many of the 5 can you name?
Probably, I don't know. I mean, why I'm terrible at trivia. Why are you doing this to me? I thought we were tight. I thought we were good.
Well, I know
Van Jefferson.
Van Jefferson, that's right. Obviously,
Denny, I did this with Hack earlier. You probably get 4.
Obviously, the kicker, Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Evan McPherson.
Yeah.
The other
looks like a genius right now, by the way.
Oh, my gosh. He's been a ridiculously good player.
Everybody's making fun of him last year.
Cincinnati is not in the Super Bowl without Evan McPherson. I will actually give you the others. Van Jefferson and Evan McPherson, the ones I want to talk about. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on the other 3. We're going to mention their name and go. Brandon Powell on the Rams.
Yep.
He's their kick returner. Cincinnati, I had absolutely no idea. You know Vernon Hargraves is a Cincinnati Bengal?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. And then Fred Johnson, the former offensive lineman. So those are the 5
Vernon
former
Hargraves
Gators.
Get burned? He plays?
He played in Week 18. He hadn't played a lot of other times, but he is on the Bengal roster. Van Jefferson, Evan McPherson. Van Jefferson's turned into a nice pro, and I think we figured that he probably would. He's kind of buried out there behind Cooper Kupp, behind Odell Beckham. Man, imagine if they had Robert Woods too. But Van Jefferson, when he gets the opportunity, has done some nice things.
If you go back to the Florida LSU game in Death Valley.
The 42-28 game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was as much of an NFL type game as you could find because LSU just flat out said, we're playing man. We're playing press man. We don't care what you do. And Van Jefferson ate that game. And that was the first time that I watched Van Jefferson. I was like, yo, that dude's a Sunday player. And in that game, that's where it wasn't Kyle Pitts. It was Van Jefferson that Trask was going to.
I remember there was a game against Florida State, and you don't necessarily need to be the fastest. Does it help? Absolutely. But when you are just an absolute tactician route runner,
yeah,
Van Jefferson could have fair caught a touchdown ball in Doak Campbell Stadium a couple of years ago because he left the defensive back with broken ankles.
Yep.
And he is just a great route runner, and you see that in the NFL. That's why he's had a nice little career already. Obviously, his dad, Sean Jefferson, that certainly helps.
I've seen him work out a couple times. It's so impressive in person how fast. We talk about speed, but his quickness is unreal.
Right.
His coming in and out of breaks, the way he creates leverage or space, it's like you can tell his dad played in the NFL and coached for a long time. He knows what he's doing.
And look, Cincinnati's going to try to take away OBJ and Kupp, so I would imagine Van Jefferson will have the potential to have a pretty nice game.
And one of the other thing, and I know in Jacksonville this isn't cool to say, but Jalen Ramsey is such a help from a receiver standpoint because he tells you, like Jalen helps the receivers on his team by telling them, this is how you set this up. This is how you set that up. This is what we're looking at. And I know that Jalen and Van Jefferson have put a lot of work in with that.
That's fair. I agree. When you practice against the best every day, it's going to translate on Sundays. Evan McPherson, again, not going to spend a lot of time on the kicker, but my goodness, here's a rookie, kicks a game winner to beat Tennessee, kicks a game winner in overtime of the AFC Championship game to knock Mahomes and the Chiefs out in Arrowhead. The month-long ride Evan McPherson has been on, he'll never buy a drink in Cincinnati again.
Oh, absolutely not.
He's almost a legend there his rookie season.
It's been like that all year, though. I mean, he's been clutch all year long. And I was one of the ones that when he went out early, I'm like, man, you're a kicker. What are you doing? He knew what he was doing.
People forget he was a Mississippi State commitment.
Yep.
He came with Dan Mullen to the University of Florida. Now, unfortunately, all the good things he did at Florida, people are going to probably remember him most for the fog and the missed kick against LSU.
I don't think so.
No,
because I think that game is so dominated by the shoe.
By the shoe, yeah. That's
like,
true.
I think in a year from now, people won't even remember who the kicker was, or that there was even a field goal attempt. I think everybody just remembers the shoe.
So Evan McPherson, Fred Johnson, Vernon Hargraves on Cincinnati, Brandon Powell, Van Jefferson on the Rams. Somebody, at least two Florida Gators, 2 or 3, will be hoisting the Lombardi Trophy on Sunday night. It is Gator Bytes, 1010XL.com, podcast network, and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists brings it to you. They're Northeast Florida's leading orthopedic center, providing an unparalleled level of care across numerous locations in both Jacksonville and St. Augustine. That includes Riverside, Northside, the South Side, the Beaches, Fleming Island, and St. John's.
My man has had that same piece of paper.
I have.
That same piece of paper for 3-4 years we've been doing this?
I think our first show was 2-3 years ago.
Hack saves a tree, one Gator Bytes
same
at a
piece
time.
of paper.
This was handed to me in 2019, and here it is in 2022, the same exact piece of paper. I know your thoughts on Mike White. I know your thoughts on Gator basketball, and I'm going to give the man credit where it's due. They were 12-8. They were 3-5 in the conference. The season was over. Come from behind, beat Oklahoma State. Come from behind, beat Missouri. Come from behind, beat Ole Miss. They play a woeful Georgia team tonight. They have to win that game. And if you win the game tonight, all of a sudden you're 16-8. You're 6-5 in the conference, and it looks like they've turned this thing around.
Yeah. I think they have to get to a place, though, where they don't have to win more than a game in the SEC tournament.
Yeah.
Because the SEC right now.
It's
Did you watch Arkansas Auburn?
Amazing game, an amazing atmosphere afterwards.
They're just playing a different game. I think that's the thing. It's like you look at these teams, it doesn't look like it does when Florida plays.
No.
Do you agree?
No, Florida plays a boring brand of basketball. And again, look, they've won 3 in a row. I hate to disparage them, but you're winning with guys that transferred from Boston College and Charleston Southern and Penn State and Louisiana Tech.
Forget that for a second. Maybe this is just me. Let's have a conversation about this. I watched Florida basketball. They hit a 3, and I'm like, oh, well, I'll be dang. Like, I'm surprised. You watch Auburn, Arkansas.
Yeah.
You watch any of these other games, and it's like this. It's like watching tennis. They're down the court, hitting threes, dunk, 3, dunk, and it's just like I'm watching a really good varsity game, and then Florida's playing the JV game before it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it looks like to me. It's just not fun to watch. You mentioned the atmosphere, and I think that's what's bled down through the program in the last few years is the atmosphere in Gainesville is, let's just say it doesn't enhance your viewing experience if you're seeing it on TV the way that if I'm watching that game and I'm a recruit and I'm watching Arkansas last night, I'm going to check that out.
Agreed. Bud Walton Arena was rocking. The fans stormed the court. It was great. They beat Auburn. The reason tonight's game's so big for Florida, Georgia's terrible, although they almost beat Auburn themselves this past weekend. But I think you're at Kentucky over the weekend, and then you have Auburn next week. So you're playing 2 of the top 5 teams in the country after tonight. So you have to win the game tonight.
And by the way, the boring style basketball has been proven to neutralize in big games. Like, so they maybe they can play with Auburn because they do slow the game down because they're not doing what Arkansas did last night. Maybe so. I don't know. I'm not saying that what they're doing is wrong for the talent that they have. I'm just saying it's not an easy watch.
We are going to make Gator Bytes history right now as we wrap up.
Sweet.
Gator Bytes history, 3 years, this award-winning program. We have never done this.
Multiple awards. I'm running out of space on my bookcase.
I am too. The mantle has been taken up with trophies.
Mm-hmm.
The Lady Gator women's basketball team, again, not that I'm I'm jumping on the bandwagon here. I'm going full dive into the bandwagon.
I'm about to jump on the gymnastics one.
They are playing really well. They wiped the floor with Tennessee last week. They go to Athens and beat a ranked Georgia team. They're ranked 19th in the country. The first time they've been ranked in almost 6 years. December of 2016 was the last time the Lady Gator basketball team has been ranked.
Wow.
Kelly Ray Finley needs to have the interim title taken off. She needs to be the permanent head coach. Lady Gator basketball has been fun to watch this year. I found myself on Sunday, SEC Network, 1 o'clock, watching Lady Gator hoops for the first time, and I cannot remember when. Your thoughts?
That's good.
Your thoughts and your perspective.
Which Kelly Ray what?
Finley.
If she walked in here right now, I wouldn't know who she was.
I wouldn't have either 3 weeks ago. So admittedly, I'm on the bandwagon. Here's my
knowledge of women's college basketball right now. Have you seen the girl at Iowa, Caitlin Clark?
I have not.
Dude, she's Steph Curry.
Really?
Yes. Unbelievable. Like the only reason I know about her is we're training Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Right now for his pro day, and he knows somebody, like his best friend was like her. I don't know their connection, but he told me, I went and looked her up, and she's like this internet phenomenon. She's unbelievable.
From Iowa.
I'm telling you, just go watch her highlights. She's pulling up from half court.
Nice. No, I like that. I'll absolutely go watch. But again, anytime Florida can beat Tennessee and Georgia in women's hoops and back-to-back games, that's something that hasn't been done in a very long time. And I don't know why Lady Gator basketball was so bad. There were a couple of years there where they were the 14th team in the SEC. I mean, they had 5 and 6 wins.
I was unaware of that,
and
too.
25 and 26 losses. I mean, they were in the doldrums of the conference, and Kelly Ray Finley has done a great job.
Yeah, you're right. That is weird because the other women's sports at Florida do really well.
They do.
I mean,
the
very strong
swim team, the track team. Did you want to say something about gymnastics?
No, dude, they've been dominant for, what, a decade?
Yeah. Yeah, and SEC Network shows those on Friday nights too. I haven't gotten to that part yet. I'm going to start on the Lady Gator basketball team, maybe work my way to gymnastics.
Let me tell you this. Angie wants to go down to Friday night meet, whatever they call it. It's a hard ticket to get.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a really hard ticket to get down there. So it's not like there's 500 people in there watching this. They're selling out the O-Dome.
It's been fun. It has been fun. No question about that. He's Denny Thompson. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. This has been Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. We'll be back next week. More analysis, more information. We hope you join us then on 1010XL.com.